If you see me wearing these headphones, then that means we're gonna mix a song. Yes, so we were working on orchestral song in the previous couple of videos. So we're gonna come back to that and we're going to mix, and specifically we're gonna focus on EQ and how to frequency map it correctly, how to carve those frequencies correctly and make it sound like it's not muddy, and at the same time making it have a lot more clarity. So don't forget to subscribe and like this video before you start. And if you're new here, I'm Florina Jane, otherwise known as Flow of Music, and I do a lot of music production related tutorials. So if that's something that you like, then don't forget to subscribe. So let's get into the video. So you must be seeing this a little bit organized compared to the previous video. So I have done a little bit of organizing. I've put all similar instruments under each category of instruments. Like I have pianos, violins, percussions, bass, brass and cello in one category, wind instruments, and some ear candy stuff. So we're gonna listen to a small portion of this in the middle, and after that I'll tell you exactly what we're gonna plan to do. So one of the main problems that we have right now is that muddiness in the low mid area. So we need to do a lot of EQ to clear that up. That's one of our main goals today. So let's start doing that. So I'm going to start from this section because I have a piano. Okay, let's put an EQ, and I'm going to cut out these lows first, which we don't need. The main use of frequency, which is channel EQ, is to just bring away any of the frequencies that you don't need so that some other element will shine there. So the purpose for me cutting these lows is because piano doesn't need these low frequencies, but something else like a bass or a double bass can occupy that area. So I'm just going to put that out. Okay. Okay, if you notice, every time I do an EQ, I'm kind of checking it with violins because this piano and the violins are kind of doing the same melody. So I don't want them to clash. I want both those instruments to shine and balance well together. So the carving that I'm doing on this EQ must sit well with violins. So that's the reason why I was just toggling it around. I'm going to move over to violins. So this is going to be a very quick way of how I'm going to EQ it so that you kind of get the idea of how to mix an orchestral music. The core idea is to not make those instruments clash. They need to sound well together individually as well as balance together well. So I'm going to move on to the violins. Now this high shelf actually gives me a lot of sharpness. Without this, it's sounding dull. I'm kind of trying to move the violins slightly towards the center because all my melody is over here. And my piano is also tilted to the left. So I'm going to change the panning a little bit to see how it's sounding. Okay, there's one thing to note when you do panning a little bit. There are two ways to do it. One, you use these panning or the normal way you do it, but whatever library that you use. See, I've used Kontakt. Some places I've used Strings, which is the stock VST, but whatever you use, just make sure that those inbuilt VSTs, if you have a pan knob within that, which has also, pan to one side, then it won't make any sense if you once again pan it. Let's say on this Kontakt plugin, you'll be able to see a section where you can pan it inside. If you see here, there is a pan knob. Right now, I've already kept it on the center part. So now I have to pan it out. But sometimes you may not notice it. And when you play, you've actually played it while it has already been panned. So if inside the library, it is already panned, don't pan it out once again over here. Then it's going to sound like in a weird atmospherical dimension. It's not going to make any sense. So if it is already panned in the library, keep all these panning knobs in the center. But if it is not panned, then you can pan it over here. Just make sure that the melody is highlighted. In my case, violins are the main lead section along with piano. So I want them to be in the center and I want them to be close front, like very close to me. We'll deal that closeness and far away stuff using reverb in the upcoming videos. But right now, this is what I've panned. And they sound okay. So I'm going to move on to the percussion elements. This is a very tricky one. So I need to make sure that percussions are not too far away because it's a low-end instrument that we're dealing with, and adding a lot of reverb to a low end will sound weird. So you need to make sure that they are a little bit close to you and also carving the frequencies well. So let's start with timpani. Okay, so I'm giving a little bit of boost on that percussion end, and that is going to help me have the low end from the percussion. But also, if you see, I've dipped in some of the percussions as well. because otherwise it is just becoming a lot. So this is how I'm going to keep the EQ for this area. Now, apart from this, you can see a couple of things added here like tape delay, sub bass and all that. I'm going to retain it the same way for now, because all these things I just added them while I was programming. So I'm just going to keep them that way. But we have to shape the reverb in the future. So I'm just going to let it be this way. And we're going to only focus on EQ for the entire song right now. And we can take reverb for another video. So let's move on to bass. So my French horn is doing the counter melody part, and I want that to be strong enough to give that counter melody, but also not clashing with the violins. So let's carve the EQ in that way. Okay, I'm gonna play this section right from here till the end, and we're gonna listen to just the EQ volume balance, not the reverb or anything. Just don't think about what instrument needs to be closer, what needs to be far away. We'll talk about that later. But now let's think about if each instrument is having its own place to shine and if they are having the right clarity. Okay, in terms of EQ, I'm happy with how it has come. So what we did today was just a whole balance in terms of EQ. So that's one of the fundamental things you need to do, whether it is orchestral or whatever it is. Each instrument has to have that clarity when it is individually played, and you need to kind of able to focus on individual elements while the song is played also. Like when I play the whole song, I need to listen and see if I can hear the wind instruments, and if I can hear the percussion, if I can hear the piano. If I am not able to focus on one element, then that means that instrument is clashing with something else. So if you are able to focus on individual stuff and you can hear them individually, as well as it's sounding well when it's playing together, then that means your balance is right. So that's what we did today. So in the next video, we will be using reverb to give that distance, and also we need to do a lot of automations on the volume. If you notice, the violins in some sections just still continue to have that volume even after doing all these modulations. Like if you see these modulation parameters, I have made those changes, but still we need some volume automations to be done to make it more realistic. So we're gonna look at volume automations and reverb settings in the next class. So if you found this useful, comment what you liked below, and don't forget to subscribe and like. I'll see you guys in the next video.